Good morning, everybody. This is Bev with Stampin' with Inky Fingers, coming to you again on Wednesday, April 28th, almost the end of the month here. We're going to do another mystery stamping today, and hopefully you can follow along and then show me your creations. All right, it is nearing the end of the month, and our new catalog is starting on May 4th. So if there's anything on the last chance list that you want, you need to get it now. And then, yeah, you can order from the new catalog starting on May 4th. So that's exciting. All right, a couple of things that I just want to point out. I am doing, in the new catalog, I am doing a ribbon share, which you get about 15 yards of ribbon for $15.75. I'm doing a designer series paper share, and you get, I think it's about 42 pieces of paper for $28. So it's a great way to see all the papers that are in the new catalog without having to buy every single one and without spending your entire bank account just on paper. You can save your money for the rest of the stamp sets and everything else that's in the new catalog. And one more item that I want to share is the new 2021 to 2023 in colors. So I'm doing what's called an in color club. It runs for 5 months. It's $55 a month, and you get everything pertaining to the new in colors that's in the new catalog. And you are going to want to see those colors. They are very pretty this time around. Well, they always are, but this time around they seem exceptional. Anyway, if you want more information on that, be sure to drop me a message at inkyfingers2011@gmail.com. Or if you have my text information, you can send me a text as well. All right, so let's get started with our mystery stamping for Wednesday, April, I said 28th, but it's actually April 29th. All right, here we go. All right, so again, if you are ordering anything out of the old catalog, this is the host code that you can use. And I'm just going to start sharing my screen and we'll get started with our mystery stamping. There we go. All right, so here's the list of supplies that you needed. You needed a piece of cardstock, basic white or very vanilla, that measures 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. Okay, so that's your card base right there. And then you also needed a piece of basic white that measures 2 3/4 by 4. And I do strongly suggest that you put sticky notes on your pieces of paper here to keep the measurements straight, so that when we go to grab each piece, you know exactly which one to grab. So this one is 2 3/4 by 4. Okay, now we need colored cardstock. So in this case, in this situation, I've used the Just Jade. And this one is 4.25 by 5.5. Then you need a piece of 2 3/4 by 3.5, and it's scored along the long side. So the 3.5-inch side at 1/2 inch. Okay, so you just got a little flap there. Okay, the next one is 3.5 by 4.25. And it too is scored on the long side at the 1/2 inch mark. You'll notice that this one is scored on the right side. This one is scored on the left side. Okay, so that's something to note. Okay, then our designer series paper, and you can mix and match your pieces here or use the same. It doesn't matter. I did mix and match mine. So your first piece is going to be 2.5 by 4. Okay, the next piece is 2 by 3.25. And final piece is 4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so 2.5 by 4, 2 by 3.25, and 4 by 2 3/4. Okay, then we'll also need our stamp set, some ink to coordinate, embellishments, and then your paper snips and adhesives. Okay, so there's your list of supplies that you need. So clue number 2 says, adhere the DSP that's 2 by 3 1/4. Okay, so that's this piece right here. And you are going to adhere that to the colored cardstock that measures 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. Okay, so let's just set this aside. We're going to take the sticky notes off those 2 pieces, and you're going to adhere those pieces together. All right. Clue number 3 says, take the colored cardstock that you just adhered DSP to, so this same piece, and it's scored on the long side, so here, and adhere it to the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch colored cardstock. So your bigger piece of colored cardstock, and you're going to adhere it. So you're just going to put glue on the underneath part of your scored tab here. And you are going to now adhere it to the bottom right-hand side of your card, or pardon me, of the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece. All right, I did leave a little bit of a mat on the bottom of mine, but you don't have to. You can put it right to the bottom if you want. All right, but you do want it nearer the bottom. Okay, so that's that. Clue number 4. Adhere the DSP that measures 4 by 2 3/4. Now you know why I suggested to to mark them. Okay, so this piece is 4 by 2 3/4, and you're going to adhere it to the colored cardstock that measures 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, and it's scored along the 1/2 inch on the long side. Okay, so again, take your sticky notes off, and you're going to adhere this piece of designer series paper to the front of that, ignoring the flap because you're going to fold it over. So you're just going to mat it right there. Okay, clue number 5. Adhere these 2 layers that you just put together to the top on the left side of the 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so here's your piece of 4 by 5 1/4. You've already got this flap adhered to the right side, and now you're going to adhere this flap to the top left side. Okay, so you've got something like that. Clue number 6 says, adhere the basic white cardstock that measures 2 3/4 by 4. So that's this piece right here, to the top of the colored cardstock 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 layer. Okay, so open up these 2 flaps that you just adhered. Take that off now, and adhere your piece of basic white to the top portion of that. And at this point, you can go ahead and stamp a sentiment on there if you want, or you can wait until the card is finished and then decide what sentiment you want, or maybe you want an image in there, or leave it blank for your own handwritten sentiment. Okay, clue number 7 says, adhere the DSP that measures 2 1/2 by 4. So this should be the very last piece of designer series paper that you've got left. Okay, we're going to adhere that to your colored cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 at the bottom. Okay, and it doesn't matter if they don't match perfectly in the center. That's okay. We're going to correct that in a minute. So you want to mat the top one, and then mat this one at the bottom, just leaving a little bit of about an eighth of an inch to 1/4 of an inch mat all the way around. Okay. Clue number 8 says, adhere the colored cardstock that measures 1/2 an inch by 4. So that's that little narrow strip across the seam of the 2 layers that you just adhered. So that's why I was saying that it didn't matter if they didn't line up. Okay, so you're just going to adhere that across there to cover up that seam. Clue number 9 says, adhere the colored cardstock and the basic white layer. So you've got this all these pieces are glued together now, and you're going to adhere those to your 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock, which is going to be folded, and then burnish it along your score mark because this is going to become your card base. Okay, so that's your card base, and you're going to adhere all of these layers that you just put together right over the top. Drop those, and you'll notice that it is exactly the same size as the card base. You might want to use liquid glue here to get that lined up perfectly, but certainly it doesn't matter. All right, and clue number 10 now says, decorate the front right panel with stamps of your choice. And at this point, you can use your images or your sentiments. All right, and clue number 11 says, embellish as you wish. All right, so there we go. And of course, the final clue is your mystery is solved. Let's see what our cards look like. So here's the first one. I'm just gonna stop sharing here. There we go. Okay, here's the first one that I made. So I've just put a little hello on there, and then I popped it up with dimensionals. Not sure if you can see that or not. And then I was able to just tuck my flap underneath there. All right, and then I stamped a sentiment in there, and then I still have my card base to write my handwritten message in there. All right, so that was the first one. And then, whoops. And this is the second one that I made. So again, I just stamped this is from the Pampered Pet. So I stamped the dog, colored him with blends, and then same thing, attached him with dimensionals so I can tuck that flap underneath. Put another sentiment on the inside. And then on this card, I used the red card base. So I put a piece of white on the inside so I can write my message on there. So there you go. And ideally, we probably wouldn't have even needed a card base. We could have probably just cut a separate 4 1/4 by 5.5 piece just to mount all of our layers on. But either way works. So there you go. That's your mystery stamping card for Wednesday, April 28th. I'm going to get my dates right yet. So Wednesday, April 28th. There you go. All right. So again, if you're creating your cards, please be sure to post them or text them to me so I can post them to our Facebook page so everybody can have a look. Great. Have a good day, everybody, and hope to see you soon. Take care.